Hello and welcome to the LCS Countdown and day 2 of the Spring 2020 postseason, where we have another big best of 5 coming at you in just about 15 minutes. I am Dash, joined by Crumbs, Mark Z, and Jat to kick off the day, talk through the happenings of yesterday, and preface the big best of 5 we have today between 100 Thieves and C9. Gents, how you doing coming off a 4-game series just yesterday?
I'm ready. I really enjoyed yesterday. It was back and forth. We had all the drama, the substitution, the pauses, all that stuff. So I'm excited to see what we got today.
Yeah, back and forth yesterday.
I'm surprised there wasn't 5 games. I'm surprised we're not still playing. Really.
Fair enough. That 4th game, did look like it could go either way, but it was Evil Geniuses who was able to eke it out in the end in a 3-1 series. As we take a look at the bracket, we'll see that Evil Geniuses has moved on to the next round, where FlyQuest moves down to the losers bracket, where they'll be facing off against Golden Guardians to do battle and hopefully move right back on up and have a chance at the finals. That means today we have the 1 seed Cloud9 versus 100 Thieves, a big ticket matchup, our 17-1 dominant team against 100 Thieves, which they chose as their opponent. I'll call out once again, they chose the 3 seed to play here as their first best of 5.
Yeah, and that's not a choice that is an easy one to make, considering that 100 Thieves finished the second half 6-3, so they were looking really good, but not as good as Cloud9, obviously.
Well, let's talk about how good this Cloud9 has looked throughout the season. 17-1, again, tying the record for best LCS split of all time.
Want to hear some bonkers C9 stats?
You know what, Jad? I would love to hear some bonkers C9
Yeah, we got a whole thing
stats
prepared about the bonkers C9 stats. I mean, the fact that they're number 1 is the least impressive thing. It's the fact that they went 17-1 during the regular season. And then, these aren't just best in the split, these are best all time. Drake stats, best Herald control all time. Can you imagine getting 86% of Rift Heralds throughout the entire split? 94% of the time they get first turret, and then this is a major lead and major deficit. That's the most time with a major lead ever, and the fewest amount of times with a major deficit ever. And we're talking LCS history. So they're impressive.
Did you see that percentage? 3.1% of the time with major deficit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So you're saying they're pretty good, if I followed that mostly correctly?
They might be favorites.
I think the stats suggest that they're pretty good, but I want to contextualize just how good this 17-1 Cloud9 is, and I want to do it by comparing them to the 2 other teams we've had in North America who've been lucky enough to go 17-1. Of course, that's 2016 Immortals, as well as 2016 TSM, but you can see here that all-time comparison. So this is all-time, guys. This is taking their averages of gold difference at 10, 15, 20, and 30, and they are first all-time across all LCS splits in these gold averages in every single game.
That's nuts. Also getting 1,700 gold in 5 minutes between 10 and 15 minutes. Like, the fact not only is like, oh yeah, they're first, but like how quickly these numbers are accelerating. Everything about this C9 roster is hype. There's no way not to be excited when they play.
That's Rift Herald and first turret right there is what they're doing.
The only caveat I'll give is there is more gold in the early game now than there was in 2016. Where like the next closest team with Immortals because of turret plates and a few other systems that have been added to the game, but it's still just absurd that they're that first in that many categories.
Right, leave it to Jet to bring us back down to earth there with a little bit of leveling the playing field, but I think it is an important table setting. But let's talk about, while statistically they look great, I think it's also important to recognize that our previous 17-1 teams had different trajectories through the postseason. You remember a disappointing postseason for Immortals as compared to a TSM.
I actually think that's a really interesting point to set up the expectations for Cloud9, because those rosters had all of these superstars that had achieved so much or were really close to having this impressive pedigree, whereas this Cloud9 roster started the season from players that just didn't even get a chance to start, like Blaber or Zven that had a tough season on TSM. So this is a team that really wants to win this despite all the circumstances that have happened into this split. So it matters a lot, and they're going to give it their all, which makes them even scarier because everybody else is just thinking all of these other aspects like their identity, how do we play remote, whereas Cloud9 continues to focus on the victory, which is really important for the career of a lot of these players, I feel.
Yeah, I think I think they're the only team that doesn't have an NALCS championship on it in playoffs, if I remember correctly. So that's just crazy. Think about, yes, Zven does have a really long history, storied career in EU, but at least in North America, the most dominant team that we have is also, in some sense, the least experienced or accomplished, which means it's really, really important for them to actually complete this incredible season with a championship and not just bust her out in quarters and stuff like what happened with Immortals.
And if you actually think, just to extend on the talk of winning an NALCS title, Zven still has the chance to be the first player to have an EU title and an NA title. He thought he was going to be competing with Brox at this split because everyone thought it was going to be TL versus C9. Turns out it's just Zven going for that at this point.
Yeah, very true, very true. And while we talk about how good this Cloud9 is, but we color it with the idea that they are not an infallible team, and no team in the history of LCS has been infallible, I think it might surprise some that Cloud9 then chose the higher seed opponent heading into playoff. Thankfully, the unmatched mind of C9's Coach Reaper was able to share his thoughts on the decision. Here you have it. We believe our playstyle counters theirs better than the other team.
Simple and sweet.
I like this because
simple and sweet.
The standings were so close that to even look at the teams and decide that the standings translated directly into their skill set, I think was really too tough. So looking into specifically playstyles, I like that Reaper took this approach because I think that the Cloud9 team has similar strength to 100 Thieves. They're just more refined and have been working better this split, like the mid 2v2.
Mark, what do you think he's referencing when he's talking those playstyle differences or the matchups? Like where are you seeing it in this matchup that is advantageous?
I think it would have to be talking about mid lane. I know he didn't say it specifically, but Ryoma is a weaker opponent probably than PoE. PoE was incredible yesterday in his series, so I think they wanted someone that would allow Nisqy to unlock and move around the map easier. It's so important for C9 to have Nisqy be active and getting hit over to the other lane. So even though Ssumday is a much bigger problem than probably anything else that they would face from any of their first round opponents individually, if Nisqy can get up there and they can 2 and 3 man him, then it's not as big of a deal.
Now, this might be the matchup that Cloud9 wants, but as you mentioned, Mark, it's not all doom and gloom for 100 Thieves, as we're going to send it over to Kobe and Captain Flowers to dive into their secret weapon, and that's Ssumday in the top lane.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. I am Clayton Captain Flowers Reigns, and once again, my cohort in this online co-streaming commentary cooperation is my boy Sam Kobe Hartman Kinsler, standing right next to me here, not in person, but in spirit. He's always right there. He has had some really impressive moments here for this team. A lot of people attribute a bunch of their wins to him. Yeah, Ssumday just able to absolutely pop off in this top lane, making sure things get done for the team, even when it seems like they have no other way out. You can see the quadra kill replay happening right now. The man flexing his muscles there with the World Ender, making everybody else into nothing but a knee bender as they're forced to hail the king in the top lane.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Can you hear me, Kobe?
Yes.
All right. Hell yeah.
As we were trying to say, Ssumday has been such a big carry for this team, and he has been the member performing this entire split, 400 Thieves. Even when, the first round of Spring Split, they were struggling. Now in the second round with Cody Sun stepping up, Ryoma having better games, it really balances out the map for 100 Thieves, and it might allow them, some more room to give Ssumday that help and elevate him to the next level.
And honestly, 100 Thieves are going to need somebody to be stepping up today, going up against Cloud9. I don't think you could poll pretty much anybody who's been watching the split closely and not expect Cloud9 to have the edge here in this matchup. So he'll definitely have to pull out all the stops here on this one. We'll see if he can make it happen, but he's going to have to really flex those muscles. And that's what we're looking for here for Game 1. But before we hand it back to the analysts, Audley chatted with the 9th and final player of the week here for Spring Split, Cloud9's Vulcan.
What's up, everyone? Aphelios here with our final player of the week. I have Cloud9 support Vulcan with me. Vulcan, congratulations on taking the final award. Now, I do have to ask you, because so many of your other teammates have already won this award, were you nervous about missing out in the final week, that they were going to continue to bully you if you didn't pick it up?
Well, first of all, thank you. And I wasn't too nervous. Well, I got robbed a few times, so, I didn't get the honor, but I was a better player in some of the weeks, so it wasn't too much of a deal for me. And there's also Eric, Licorice, we didn't win one, so I would have had a buddy to cry with that night if I didn't win it, so it was fun.
Well, now have you joined the pack of players and everyone picks on Licorice?
Yeah, now we bully him, so that sucks for him, but that's the way of the world, I guess.
Great. Yeah, I know it's funny that you said you were robbed a couple times because you had an amazing split, and now it's all coming down to this in playoffs. You guys chose 100 Thieves as your first opponent, so I just wanted to ask the decision-making behind that.
Yeah, some people were saying that it's like a 5 or 4D chess move where we think that 100 Thieves, if we do beat them, they'll take down TSM and we don't want to face them, but it's nothing like that. We just think that for us specifically, we have a better chance of beating 100 Thieves than we do Fly. We think the lane matchups, like player to player, we have a stronger mid laner, we have a stronger bot lane. We think that obviously the best player is Ssumday, and Eric is a great player as well, so we can hold him. If we need him to carry, he can carry. If we need him to be a pressure sponge, he can do that. So I think it's just like a specific matchup where we think we have a better chance of beating 100 Thieves than we do Fly.
Well, Vulcan, thank you, and best of luck to you and the team moving on into that game. And for everyone else, if you want that Vulcan Player of the Week statue, tweet at MasterCard Nexus, and you could be going home with a little mini Vulcan, and then you too could join in on bullying Licorice. But thanks for watching. That's it for us here.
He did it. Week 9.
Finally.
He did it. He was not robbed. He joins 3 of the other members of Cloud9 on the little shelf of statues back in the studio. That
Are people still putting those up?
To go see when we're finally. That's a good question.
Are we printing
Can we get
them
a
out?
shot? Can we get confirmation? Are they on the POTW shelf or not? But let's talk Vulcan, because this is a guy who deserves so much credit for the success of Cloud9. Again, Zven and Vulcan together coming in as a brand new bot lane and demonstrating dominance across the league.
He began on clutch last split, being one of the more aggressive shot callers for the team, engaging so many times with the Leona with their kind of mid-game Rumble Kiana. So the Leona and his aggressive play got a lot of traction, and we felt like he was good, but didn't really know just how good he was until he joined with Zven, and suddenly it's like the best 2v2 we had in this split.
Right, and again, so much of these accolades for Cloud9 do feel like they come because the whole team is operating on such a high level, and we did touch on it yesterday, but I think it's worth highlighting once again that we have 5 members of our first All-Pro team playing in this quarterfinal today. It just so happens that all 5 of them are on the same team.
Yeah.
And that's Cloud9.
I mean, the fact that they went 17-1 and then the next closest team was 10-8, and you're voting on individual split performance, I'm happy that all 5 of them made it there. I think there were definitely some fair arguments for Ssumday sneaking in there because of how many games it seemed like he solo carried 400 Thieves, but this, for all 5 of them, I think is well-deserved and well-earned.
I mean, you saw how many stats we were running through about how dominant they were, too. I mean, once that happens, it's not one of those things where it's like, oh, they're just getting voted for because they're in first place. It's like, no, they are so dominant that they all deserve the individual accolades that come with it.
And that dominance, luckily Azael made, I think, 2 pro view to Lane Kingdoms of Licorice and Nisqy, so we actually got to see just how good they are in laning, whether it's being aggro or defensive. So kind of feels bad for Licorice that doesn't get the safe side recognition, but that's what top lane is about. You do your job without the
no player of the week.
I mean, it speaks volumes when you get an entire segment made about you in a losing matchup and how well you navigated it. We did get a taste of the new playoff format yesterday as well, but for another reminder on why the number 1 and 2 seeds kicked off the postseason as opposed to previous years, here's Riv with the playoff rundown.
With Spring Split 2020 coming to a close, here's a look at our format for the upcoming LCS playoffs. 6 teams will compete in 8 separate rounds. The first seed team will pick between the 4th and 3rd seeds as their opponent for the first match. The second seed will play against whomever was not picked. Losers from the 2 matches will enter the lower bracket and face off against the 5th or 6th seed team. Teams who win advance to the next round. The winner from the upper bracket goes straight to the spring final, and the loser gets one more chance in the championship qualifier, up against the winner of the lower bracket. For the full schedule, visit watch.lolesports.com.
So there you have it, just a quick refresher on the playoff format, as it is a little different this time around. A very exciting format, though, again, because I love this opportunity for teams to get another run through and really test the mettle of who would be the best in a best-of-5 series. But, gentlemen, that brings us to our game today, our second quarterfinal, Cloud9, the number 1 seed against the number 3 seed in 100 Thieves, and prediction time for the 3 of you. All 3 of my analysts were correct yesterday in their 3-1 call for EG over FlyQuest, and Jat is jumped the gun. He's jumped the gun.
No
oh my goodness! And everyone follows suit. Cloud9 predictions across the board, but we have to include that all-important game score. So, Jat, since you seem to be chomping at the bit, my friend, go for it.
I predicted game 1, Mark predicted game 2, and Crumbs predicted game 3.
Yeah.
I think.
There's another one.
There's
another round, by the way.
Okay.
Look at the logo. There's 3 9s in there. It's 3-0.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I was gonna say we had 3 logos up, so it was a 3-0. There were no 100 Thieves logos up. I thought that was the metaphor.
A quick and easy. Quick, let me get it. Let me get a 100 Thieves logo. I'm going for the 3-1, and I'll put the 100 in there.
I think overall, we've obviously had the bit of discussion about whether or not Cloud9 should have picked 100 Thieves or FlyQuest, and I think there are arguments for picking either team, and ultimately it will be judged in hindsight. So we all know Cloud9's massive favorites in this, and I think in order for 100 Thieves to win, a couple things actually have to happen. So the most likely thing to happen in a 100 Thieves upset is that Ssumday can somehow smash Licorice, even though they're both incredibly good top laners. But even if that happens, I think C9 still wins, so they would need yet another thing to go well, where Ryoma can have a pop-off, or Cody Sun can have a pop-off, getting Aphelios in 3 games in a row or something. But ultimately, I think we're all pretty aligned that C9 is a massive favorite.
Yeah, I think the point about Cody is where I end up the most too, where he has been actually really good in lane as well, whereas we've always known he's been a great late game team fighter, but some of his Aphelios play, especially in week 9, for example, being really aggressive and using his guns correctly, they need him to be able to do that to hold down Zven and Vulcan in lane as well. And if they can maybe win both side lanes, then an upset starts being more possible, but I'm ultimately still with Jat, where I think C9 is just too good about being able to set all these different things up for the whole team.
Well, my analysts are painting a scary picture for 100 Thieves, but we know it's been done before. A 17-1 1 seed has been taken down in the postseason, so it can be done. We'll have to see if this 100 Thieves is up to the task. With Cloud9 versus 100 Thieves just about ready, it's time for us to head over to Summoner's Rift for game number 1. Enjoy.
In a split where nothing has really gone the way people expected it to, why would playoffs go as expected? Coming into the 2020 season, everyone still thought Team Liquid would be the best team.
And they are the best team North America has ever produced!
But they're kind of stuck, and everyone's waiting for them to be good. Meanwhile, Cloud9 is absolutely dominating.
How powerful the ability is! Oh!
Tied for the best regular split record in LCS history.
Licorice, he's looking to do body slam here.
There was this revolving door of teams. Any of these 5 teams can make a move for second. And then there's a global health pandemic, and everything shuts down. No one really knows what's going to happen to the LCS. No one really knows what's going to happen. 2 weeks after that, the LCS can return online. Teams playing online, casters casting from their homes online, and again, no one really knows how it's going to feel. But you do know it's going to be LCS. As we roll into week 9, all the stories were there. Cloud9 had the opportunity to end Team Liquid's streak
Vulcan and Zven are going for a back door.
by denying them playoffs.
Revenge is coming now, and Cloud9 will shut down Team Liquid.
Golden Guardians, people had them as the worst team in the league, and now they're going to playoffs after winning 3 games in a row.
That is a solo kill right there.
TSM beats C9. Everyone's wondering if they're going to emerge as the true contender.
Yerkson assassinates the backline.
We end up getting a 3-way tie for second between FlyQuest,
Nice charm on a Cody Sun. Power of evil.
100 Thieves,
Ssumday picks up the Quadra.
and EG actually ends as the second place team.
Shizuke's got a triple. Make it even more.
Cloud9 is an absolute behemoth.
Blaber goes in.
And for the first time in a long time, they go in as prohibitive favorites.
Combo, there's your combo.
But if LCS has taught us anything, and if this split has taught us anything, it's that you never really know
On Nisqy.
what's going to happen next.
Hello and welcome here to game number 1 of the second series of the 2020 Spring Playoffs. Cloud9, 100 Thieves, best of 5. Take 3 and you walk away with the win. I'm Captain Flowers, this is Kobe, and we're about to jump into Champion Select here for that first game.
And I am very excited to see how Champion Select develops over the course of this series, because Cloud9 have been very clear that Reaper, the coaching staff, the team, they all feel like their style will counter 100 Thieves. And that is what we're assuming is alluding to 100 Thieves having negative gold differences on average in their games from 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and 20 minutes. A lot of these early stages where Cloud9 make a lot of moves. And C9 in their last game versus 100 Thieves showed what Champion Select looks like when they want to attack this style. They got Kalista top for Licorice last time, a super strong top lane for him to punish Ssumday, not allow Ssumday, you know, this big star for 100 Thieves, any sort of agency in the top lane. And then they also got Nisqy and Blaber, the classic combo of Gragas and Yasuo, which they have used over and over for multiple years.
Well, as we see the first bans coming through here, there's going to be some focus on the AD carry pool coming out from Cloud9, removing both Xayah and Varus from Cody Sun's possibilities. And you mentioned Gragas Yasuo. Well, the combo doesn't work if either piece is missing. Gragas is the more malleable part of that duo, and 100 Thieves decide to ban it away.
Yeah, not only is Gragas an integral part of this combination for jungle mid synergy with Yasuo, but also Blaber's just a beast on Gragas. Probably the best Gragas player that we've seen in the LCS. He may be the best jungler in the LCS, so that probably goes without saying. Aphelios, I think, is a very good steal away from Cody Sun, though, because this is one of the champions where Cody Sun has emerged as another hard carry for 100 Thieves. You know, the big flash forward everyone's going to point to end the game where he's shouting, "This is season 10." So I think Cloud9 with a good first pick steal.
100 Thieves. Let's see what they want to go for their second pick here after grabbing that Syndra. I remember during the in-houses that we did the first weekend that LCS was postponed and we all had to get used to this work from home type of thing. When we had Double Lift on the broadcast talking to me and Isaac and Aveli during one of the games, he talked about how Syndra is such a powerful champion right now. Not too surprised to see that go early on in the draft here. And hey, there's Kalista for 100 Thieves.
All right, you don't have to go too far back to analyze this Champion Select. They steal away the Kalista. This is going to be the reverse if they actually lock in the Ornn. Last time around, Ssumday was the one who decided to take the defensive route. And Ornn, you try and stack up. You get your Bramble Vest, you just try and stack up your defenses because there's nothing you're going to be able to do to push the Kalista out of lane or stop the Kalista from gaining that pressure from farming. Of course, Ornn's obvious goal is to scale.
Mm-hmm. And scale he does. Turns out when you give your buddies a whole bunch of freebies, upgrade them from the Walmart value version of the item to the super mega Louis Vuitton Gucci version, it makes all your characters really, really strong. It sort of just gives you free 5,000 gold. That's pretty insane. And along
So you're
with
saying it's all about branding for the item,
it's all about brand power with Ornn. He slaps his name on there, and all of a sudden, everybody wants to throw $600 at a $20 item. Now, they're also going to have some more CC in frontline in the form of the Nautilus. We've seen this champion be very powerful, especially when paired with something like an Aphelios. But the response from 100 Thieves, they're going to give Kalista her tried and true diamond bowling ball in the Taric.
And this is one of the reasons why Kalista has risen to the very top of priority across the world with multiple leagues, because you can swap her down to the bottom side. She's also an extremely strong bottom laner, not just a top side solo laner. So one of the best pairings, of course, are these team fight supports. Taric is definitely one of those. Both of these champions being able to make the other one invulnerable or untargetable provides a very difficult conundrum for the enemy teams to try and attack when you're looking at early dragon fights and you're trying to gain control of the bottom half of the map.
And Kindred banned away, Aatrox banned away, Olaf banned away, 100 Thieves, seeing that the jungle pool is still targetable, they want to again focus on Blaber, who I think has just had an absolutely phenomenal split for himself, stepping up into the shoes of former MVP jungler Svenskeren from last split, and just really bringing this team to the level they need to be to play as aggressively as they are. And with those bans now all resolved, and Trundle being the final ban for Cloud9, 100 Thieves feels comfortable and confident picking the Sejuani.
It's pretty funny because Blaber was tweeting out that he wanted to play some more fun champions, and I specifically asked him what would be those champions for me to use in solo queue, and Kindred was one of his first answers that he had been abusing, so I like that ban there. Obviously, 100 Thieves also trying to take away some of the counters to Sejuani. Trundle and Olaf are both banned, so that leaves a very good scenario for a Sejuani pick. I think Meteos will feel very comfortable. And then Blaber has to be on something like Jarvan, maybe, that can be engaged for the team, but also can have some early priority.
Let's see what it's going to be here, Cloud. Ooh! All right. We're getting a little bit spicy in here for Cloud9. The Nocturne, the final pick here for the draft in game number 1. This is not one of those junglers that we've seen be a staple so far in Spring Split. However, it is a jungler that can gank pretty effectively at level 3, and provided he's using the standard lethal tempo build, he is an immaculate duelist.
And if you are looking at 100 Thieves and you think Ssumday is this biggest threat, the brightest star on the team, Nocturne's ultimate, you can turn off the lights before you attempt to play and try and deny or at least delay the teleport that could come in from Ssumday, from the top laner, and then you just try and take out the rest of 100 Thieves before he shows up, and he'll arrive to numbers disadvantage, let's say.
Also makes it harder to aim the ship's cannons with the ulti. Gangplank can always contribute across the map by just targeting, clicking with R, and if it's hard for him to see, he might just shoot it into the woods and have a little bit of an oopsie. So always lots of advantages you can find there with the Nocturne. I'm excited to see something a little bit spicier than we usually get here in the first game, and it looks like everything is all locked in and ready to go, and we'll be heading to Summoner's Rift here very shortly. Very shortly indeed. We are just about loaded in here. Cloud9 and 100 Thieves. Remember, a bit surprising for some people that 100 Thieves was chosen by Cloud9 as they were the higher ranked of the two opponents. Cloud9 could have chosen. FlyQuest ended up being 4th. 100 Thieves in 3rd after all the tiebreaker dust was settled. But this seems to be the matchup that Reaper believes his team is going to do better against, and that is the one they have chosen.
Exactly, and a lot of people's eyes are on the mid lane. Mark brought it up on the analyst desk, but Ryoma seems like the type of target that Nisqy and Blaber can abuse. And if you have Zoe and Nocturne, it's very easy to set up pressure on a Syndra. You can see that Ryoma has taken Cleanse in addition to the Flash because of this, so very defensive-minded summoner spells, but you have to go beyond that and try and track the Nocturne. Something about Nocturne is you can't just ward around the mid lane to protect your mid laner anymore. It takes invades, and you have to go ward the actual camps. If you can ward raptors or maybe wolves, then having 2 of the camps warded, you can eliminate the other ones as a possibility and try and figure out where Blaber is going and where he's going to gank next.
Now, the one thing we also have to consider about Nocturne, he is up against a Sejuani. Now, although this champion is not one of those super duelists at level 3, something you might think of along the lines of an Elise or something that could be very scary early on, the Sejuani is going to scale into a monster, and should Blaber fall behind the pace of the game on a jungler like Nocturne, he goes from being this incredibly scary ballistic death missile to he makes the 80 carry jump for a second, go, oh, what was it? Oh, it's just Nocturne, never mind. He does half your health bar, he instantly dies, everybody question mark pings him, and that's the end of the day. So I really want to see that trademark Cloud9 aggro play make things happen early in this game in order for this pick to succeed.
Yeah, and the scaling that you're talking about is team fight scaling. There's no way that Nocturne ever is going to bring anything to this team fight because he's also playing Nocturne into a Taric, which is going to make the entire team immune. You can just drop the Taric ultimate when the lights get turned off, and if you're grouped up as 5, that is basically full security. But the Nocturne, like you're talking about, really shines in the earlier stages. As soon as you get to that level 6, trying to pressure the lanes, and we think that he'll probably go mid. This season, Cloud9 have dominated the LCS by not waiting around. They have not wasted any time. They have gone out to very early leads. But for 100 Thieves, this entire series will come back to Nadeshot's motto, which is take what is not given to you. This series will certainly not be given to them. They are going to have to take it out of the hands of Cloud9.
And Blaber's invading to try to take some of the jungle right now from Meteos. Meteos did start on his red buff, but did not clear the entire top side quadrant there. Instead, just opting to go towards the bottom side, grab both buffs, and then clear back towards that red area. But it looks like Blaber will be able to grab that chicken camp and then immediately make a transfer down here to the mid lane. Nisqy lands the Sleepy Trouble bubble. Paddlestar also going to follow that one up. Blaber makes his way into the lane, but honestly, he's not there in time to add any extra damage. But Ryoma gets chunked pretty hard.
And you see this a lot with stronger junglers early playing in a Sejuani. They don't even care if they show through the lane. Blaber steals away the Raptors and immediately will cross over to his red quadrant where all of his camps are up. So if you look at the map right now, he has effectively eliminated 2 extra camps that Meteos cannot farm in comparison to him and has earned himself a lot more gold now to be acquired. Raptors, red, and Krugs available, while Meteos only has the Krugs. This is very intelligent pathing from Blaber that also plays off of Nisqy's mid lane, which we saw allow him to go for that invade. So this is one of the reasons why Blaber is so good. It's not just his skirmishing. You know, he's not this brainless mechanics-only player. He puts a lot of thought into setting this up as well.
Well, the one light shining in the darkness there for Meteos is the fact that he did not get too crabbed. That always feels bad when your opponent manages to get the better of your camps and also grab both Scuttle Crabs, so he gets away from that one. But Licorice going for the solo kill here into the top lane. And there you go. We're talking about win conditions, man. When Ornn solo kills the GP at level 4, Licorice is saying, not today, not in my top lane.
No flash, though. Meteos, can he?
No.
No, he cannot do anything.
No.
Licorice, yeah. So, the analyst touched on Ssumday's stats as well. So Ssumday is 3rd in solo kills in the LCS right now. But who's 2nd is actually Licorice, who was at 11. Ssumday was at 10. Now Licorice is at 12.
Yeah, Licorice, let's take another look at how he found this solo kill here onto Ssumday.
I think the best part of it is the sound of Ornn's auto at the end with the hammer, just the big doink coming through. Come on.
Very well done there from Licorice. And honestly, just some disrespect from Ssumday. You saw him walk right up to the volcanic pillar that had erupted from the ground that Licorice made there in the lane, pretty much daring him to come and take the trade. Well, unfortunately for Ssumday, Licorice knows exactly when he can accept those kinds of dares, jumps right in and grabs the kill. We'll see if this snowballs into anything further here for the side of Cloud9 on the top half of the map. Blaber's still only level 5. We'll take the Scryer's Bloom there, sees the ward that was just placed down by Ryoma, and he'll clear that one away. And then once again, just go back, grab this chicken camp. Pretty effective at doing that with the Dustbringer and Umbra Blades combined, and it allows him to keep up this CS lead over his opponent, who is now heading towards the bottom lane.
Yep, Blaber keeping that timer. Meteos is setting up that gank you're talking about, though. Can they land the stun?
Oh, nice flash away from Vulcan there, dodging out of the CC, but he goes right back in to find some damage onto Meteos. And in a 3v2, it's 100 Thieves who walk away with a more damaged health bars in this one. Well played by C9.
Yeah, they do damage them more. Summoner spell blown, so something was gained, right? If you look at the minimap, there again were no camps until just now the Krugs respawn for Meteos. So he had no farming options. And his best bet was to try and get a Summoner spell blown. Even though he takes a lot of damage, they do at least get some area to try and work off with. Nautilus now being a possible target, and Honey Fruit being found in the river means he healed back up.
And now bottom side, we're going in yet again. Cody Sun forced to flash away. Stunt now the target as Vulcan starts things off, and Zven is there following up with the damage. Blaber already level 6, looking to make the tower dive come alive. The damage goes through, the health bars shrink down rapidly. Blaber having to flash away. Zven looking to get the kills. It's one down, but here comes the artillery. Both bottom laners on the side of 100 Thieves are killed off. It's going to be one kill in return as Zven sent home with black and white screen, but Cloud9 gets their marks.
I love Exhaust, Captain Flowers. They buffed it a couple patches ago, lasts half a second longer. There, the Exhaust makes the difference, allows 100 Thieves to get a counter kill back. That was a very close and scrappy tower dive there, with Zven also having to blow both summoners and getting extremely low. In the end, they did get both kills, so Cloud9 barely pull it off there, and they do come out ahead. But because of the Exhaust, 100 Thieves made it close and got a counter.
And hey, Blaber's doing exactly what we both said we wanted to see. As soon as he got that ultimate, it was what, under 1 minute before he found the opportunity to fire it off and make a play happen. And when you're a champion like this, I want to see that sucker cast on cooldown.
All right, you can spell shield a dragon auto because it counts as a spell to give you more attack speed. They do it, they finish off the dragon.
But now the fight has started. Remember, Stunt still no level 6. He's not able to find that Cosmic Radiance. He cannot bring in the invulnerability, and Cloud9 now mounting the assault against 100 Thieves. Nisqy destroys Cody Sun. He sends Meteos to join him, and that is a double kill over to Cloud9. It is a 6-1 game, and they are doing exactly what they have done for the entirety of this split.
The Cloud9 War Machine still operational, Flowers. It was only close for a tiny bit during that dive where we thought maybe another kill would go over to 100 Thieves, but immediately Blaber takes the dragon. They collapse first onto Stunt. Vulcan hooks him back in for a very good kill. And then even though the rest of the team has arrived, Nisqy's able to just destroy them on the Zoe. Heads down the river, finishes off the second kill. And 100 Thieves are looking at a 5-kill deficit on top of the first dragon going over to C9.
Absolutely dominant play here early on from the side of Cloud9. And it's not just the fact that they're getting the kills, my friend. Where have the kills ended up? 2 on Nisqy, 3 on Zven, and 1 on Licorice, but you can't fault the man for it because he bonked Ssumday with his own little hammer. There's no way this could be going any better here for this squad so far, as Licorice just continues slapping him and clapping him.
Yeah, this one is definitely looking very good for Cloud9, and I want to keep track of how they keep up the pressure, because we're used to seeing them get these early leads like you're talking about. What's so cool about this team is how they have pushed these leads almost 100% of the time into victories. Only the one loss to TSM, and they do that with Blaber remaining aggressive. Right now, he does have the Nocturne ultimate, so my eyes are still looking for another play on bottom side. Even though 100 Thieves both have the Kalista ultimate and Taric, that is still an area that they can attack. The other possibility would be Ryoma in mid lane. That one's fairly difficult, though, because of the cleanse flash.
Yep. We also have to remember that if Meteos is able to properly read Blaber, because of the fact that they now both have ultis online, a counter gank will be that much more punishing. The first time Blaber used the ulti successfully in the bottom lane, he was level 6, his opponent only level 5. You can see there now as he's taking the Rift Herald, once again, utilizing the fact that these epic monsters do have some of their damaging attacks coded as spells, so he's able to use the spell shield there, block the charge, and can then grab that extra attack speed to continue to put the DPS into Shelly and grab that eyeball early on here. Nisqy showing up to help him, making sure they get it quickly. Remember, it lasts 4 minutes, and for 3.5 of those, deployment means turret plates and even bigger gold.
possible tower dive, Captain Flowers. I see some pings on top lane. Ssumday is under the turret currently. So they were thinking about it and possibly using the Rift Herald up there. But looks like they've decided to set full reset here for Blaber, get right back to base. And he's actually headed down bottom side right now. Now, a little bit of extra insight on some mechanics for the Nocturne into Sejuani. We haven't gotten to see it. I was hoping, maybe Blaber on one of these invades would actually find Meteos, but one of the reasons it's so easy for Nocturne is you can just spell shield the second activation of Winter's Wrath on Sejuani, the W. That's where most of the damage is loaded. And if you block that, then Sejuani has zero chance of winning any fights. So that's why Blaber got to go for all his easy early invades in combination with, of course, Nisqy pushing that mid lane.
Any champion that has a counter ability, like, Nocturne Spell Shield, Fiora's Repose, you just love champions like Sejuani that have such an easily predictable ability that's so easy to block. It just means that you win so hard in those matchups where you can block that with that ability. As we might see ourselves quite a fight here in the river. Meteos looking to start things off. Nice CC going to be layered there onto Cloud9 to begin this one. However, the disengage comes through as Paranoia is used to simply allow Cloud9 to back out. You don't always have to go in when things get dark and full of terrors.
Yeah, defensive Nocturne ultimate's completely viable strategy. It is used right there. Rift Herald popped on the bottom side, and that's going to be more money in the hands of Zven as he's been able to take off those turret plates. First two of them by hand. Shelly comes in with the true damage. So efficient. Don't you just love it, Flowers?
Oh, it's the best way to use Shelly for those who aren't aware. You don't want to use her on the first couple of plays. Use her on the ones later on. And Licorice, he's once again winning in these 1v1s against Ssumday. He's got a full-on Sunfire cape. Life goes from bad to worse for a champion that needs to build up plenty of damage. Tank stats, they just scale harder early on with only a 1 or 2 item investment than damage does. It's why these tanks are able to lane effectively against champions that want to play for later game, be more of a carry. As Nisqy goes for the damage, he finds the Paddle Star, he finds the Trouble Bubble. Nisqy gives him a big old belch from the mountain and sends him right back to the spawn platform.
That's what we call teamwork, Flowers. Nisqy heads up to the top side, sees Licorice softening up Ssumday, just adds a little bit of a helping hand there with the Sleepy Trouble Bubble, and hands another kill over to him on a silver platter. 100 Thieves will not be caught sleeping, though. They'll take the opposite side of the map, knowing that Nisqy roaming up to the top side will give them full priority over the Dragon.
All right, Dragon secured means at least 100 Thieves doesn't have to worry about an early 20-minute something Dragon Soul, which could have been a possibility if they weren't able to stay on top of this and at least sneak one.
Always a possibility in C9 games, for sure.
Yeah, it's incredibly common considering their insane stats on controlling neutral objectives and everything else on the Rift here in Spring. Of course, they've still got that impressive Rift Hero control number, only getting higher after this game, but 100 Thieves doing well to make sure that that's not a win condition, at least for a little while longer. And Ssumday is just going to get right back where he was here in this top side, continue trying to farm up, despite the fact that he has now died twice. He is still Gangplank. He's still even on farm with his opponent. And remember, even on Gangplank means ahead because of the fact that you get so much extra money from that parlay gold.
Yeah. The champion design team does take into account extra gold sources for when they're designing some champions. But Gangplank, with the Trinity Force now, finally has some semblance of a power spike for 100 Thieves. This is kind of the only thing that you can point out. The power spike is definitely one of the smaller ones, a blip on the radar, but it's there. You can see it.
It's not quite as big as the Sunfire Cape Ninja Tabby's Catalyst of Aeon's Ornn, but hey, it's there. It's there. It's hanging out.
Try and hit your barrel chain onto somebody else. Aphelios, good target. Maybe you can find him.
Somebody that the barrel will do more than 10% of their health to, maybe. But that's definitely not the Ornn. Licorice very strong right now here in the current state of the game. The next Drake not spawning for over 3 minutes. We don't really have anything that's worth fighting over on the map right now. No turrets have yet been felt, so that bonus is still available. Sleepy Trouble Bubble not going to find anything with no terrain to pass through. The range is honestly very limited. So it does mean, however, that they will be able to chase 100 Thieves away long enough for Cloud9 to secure yet another Scuttle Crab. I'll count that as a mini objective. That's fine.
Okay, fair enough. A mini objective, just like the mini power spike.
Yeah, they go hand in hand, man.
Looks like Meteos is going to walk over a ward.
Meteos in some trouble here. CC coming down, damage going out. Throws out the Glacial Prison as he disengages. No opportunity for anybody from 100 Thieves to move over and try to help. Instead, the disengage is the best they'll get, but that does cost Meteos' flash.
Yeah, some good evasive maneuvers from Meteos. Get him out, even dodges away from the sleepy trouble bubble that's coming over. But that's basically just trying to deal with the symptoms here. They're not able to solve the root cause, which is Cloud9 full control of anything outside of the towers from 100 Thieves, and that's changing shortly even too, as the domino effect is about to occur. When bottom goes down, it's very easy for C9 to swap their duo up to that top side. Licorice has already taken most of it himself, and that thing's gonna fall pretty quickly afterwards.
And the comparison in items between the 80 carries, because of the fact that Zven has almost an extra 1,000 gold in his pocket from those kills, as Ryoma gets a nice taste of the Zoe combo there in mid lane, losing 2/3 of his HP. Blaber's going to be on Rift Herald number 2. As you can see, Licorice heading back to base. He's already claimed that top lane tier 1 turret. Zven's heading up there into the top side. He's already got his Essence Reaver. He's got the second BF sword in inventory, working towards the Infinity Edge, as Cody Sun just now completes his Blade of the Ruin King on Kalista. And remember, it's not like this is a matchup where Zven's playing something like Lethality Varus, where you want to spike early. You want to make sure that you're having those impact in those 20-minute fights. This is Aphelios, man. This champion melts 5 people at a time in late game team fights. Kalista falls off.
Definitely true. And Aphelios is also going to have some Gucci Infinity Edge headed his way. Brand name will be upgraded. So it always feels nice to have a very strong scaling carry on your team that rushes one of those items. So as soon as Licorice gets to level 14, he'll be able to hand that out to Zven.
Meteos, Cody Sun, and Stunt moving up here to maybe make a move on to Zven.
Get him! Everybody get him!
He sees him on the control ward. He's backing away. He pops up and he walks out.
They got him for a second.
That was a good Goon Squad voice over there.
I mean, that's the squad on the blast cone. All right, everybody, you see that, Aphelios? Get him, jump on him, quick.
Are these guys, are they like Skyrim bandits now?
Yeah, you never should have come here. Yep, they wait for the recall to go off. In the aftermath, though, they do pick up something meaningful, which is the second Rift Herald. So, 100 Thieves now. Wait, I'm not seeing it actually. What happened there? Did it?
It's summoned up in the mid lane by.
No. There we go.
Yeah.
It was a scuttle crab. It was the mini one. I'm trolling.
Here comes Shelly, the mid lane tier 1. Troll it or not, she's going to slam her head into that thing. Nearly take it down, but it is still standing. That's what's important here for 100 Thieves. But the third Drake of the game is alive. There's nothing really for 100 Thieves to say, all right, we'll trade the Drake for this. So for them, this is just an opportunity that they cannot contest, and Blaber and Licorice will take that one.
Yeah, they already got their big reward. That scuttle crab. That scuttle crab will become a Shelly in the future, though.
But it's dead.
Know that.
How will it become anything? It's dead.
In the afterlife, yeah, reborn. Do you believe in that?
You want to get into reincarnation about Shellys? Hold on, Blaber's not going to let Ryoma get reincarnated into anything other than, well, a different version of Syndra here in about 31 seconds, because that one just got sent back to the spawn platform. Nice kill there in the mid lane. Blaber once again utilizing the Nocturne to make the play.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that is going to be their best shot at getting kills. Nisqy here's got some juice.
Nisqy trying to see if he's got the damage on Meteos, but he's not quite able to get it there with the jump forward. Vulcan with the stopwatch, keeping himself alive. The Gangplank ulti will prevent his escape, and Cody Sun is on the board.
Much needed sigh of relief here for an extra kill going over to 100 Thieves. Even though Ryoma did go down before that, any sort of trade is good for 100 Thieves at the moment because Cloud9 have so much control. They're just trying to trade in these opportunities where they have any sort of opening. Ssumday now, there's no patience left on this blue buff, so it's going to reset if they change targets one more time, and they do.
I think Ssumday will say happy about that, because at least now he has a better chance of getting the blue buff. Meteos also going to show up along with Stunt to zone Licorice away. You can tell he really wanted to put up a fight for that one, but when 3 people show up to just stop you from getting a blue, you're not getting a blue.
All right, so here's what you want to do if you're Cloud9 trying to push this game ahead. Well, never mind. We'll see what happens to Ryoma as he's doomed.
You're right. Here is what you want to do if you're Cloud9 trying to push this game ahead. You pop the enemy mid laner right near his red buff. Now you look to get away. A nice stopwatch coming through from Blaber there, allowing him to dodge away from the Meteos ulti. Now he's barely going to be kept alive in the back end of the fight. Here comes the cavalry. Licorice has arrived. The ult comes through, and Meteos is over the wall, but now he's going to be chased down, and Blaber's right back into the mix, grabbing himself yet another kill. He feints into the back line and only re-enters when he knows he can clean things up. Cloud9 once again playing the fights cleanly, and we'll see them move over onto the Baron now, just 21 minutes into the game. They are very strong. They have an incredibly capable tank of making sure he absorbs all the damage from this one. We'll see if 100 Thieves are in any sort of a position to try and contest. They have no jungler, but there was no smite on Blaber either. It was up to the rest of the team to secure it, and C9 gets Baron.
You see, there's not even enough time to tell C9 what their next step is. They're just too quick at it. They find the pick in the jungle, right behind Baron, Sleepy Trouble Bubble, and Blaber already has the tether of the fear. Just look at that beautiful CC chain. Ryoma doesn't get to do anything. His Sleepy Trouble Bubble dreams go to nightmares as soon as he wakes up, and he's immediately dead. Then, with Licorice here having a long-range engage on Ornn, even during the immunity of Taric ultimate, they get knocked up, so there's no counter kill for 100 Thieves. And with Nisqy landing that last bubble onto Meteos, he allowed Blaber to get the kill on the enemy jungler, opening up Baron, and it's only 22 minutes into the game, Flowers. We have been on this timeline before with C9, and they are not going to waste it any longer. Paranoia is about to come up for Blaber, so he's split pushing.
5,500 gold up, 22 minutes into the game, and there are still all 3 tier 2 turrets left standing. These are usually just a nice little bit of free money to collect for yourself. Once you have the Baron buff, teams can push them down rather easily. Oftentimes defenders are a little bit averse to trying to protect them, since it does open you up to a team fight that could very easily go south and cause you to lose your entire base, if not at least a couple inhibitors. As C9 has rotated into the top side, Blaber will continue pushing mid, the classic 4-1 Baron split, and there you go, T2 top lane, sacrificed, more money for Cloud9.
Yeah, they were thinking about going for Blaber in mid lane, but it gets turned around on Meteos.
When your tank is the man who can be jumped on in the jungle and 100 to 0'd in the duration of the Nocturne fear tether, things are not going very well here for the team of 100 Thieves. Licorice, he throws out the ult, but upon the stopwatch coming down, he throws it over the wall instead to reacquire different targets. Gangplank ulti comes down over the wall just to make sure this fight isn't going to be going any further. Stunt and Cody Sun finding some damage onto Licorice, but each Kalista auto attack does barely anything at all. The Ornn is so incredibly tanky, and Cloud9 can just walk away from this one. Mid lane tier 2 turret continually under fire. Blaber backing away from this one as Cody hops forward, trying to repel the attack. They will keep that tier 2 alive just barely, and 100 Thieves will continue to hang on.
Yeah, this reset for C9 is going to be for the Infernal Dragon. They don't want to leave any options open for 100 Thieves, but Cody Sun and Stunt might try and rush this one. Definitely dangerous for them. C9 have the Baron empowered recall, so they got most people back.
They've got Blaber and Licorice right here, and Licorice will just walk up. He says, "Get away from my Drake," and he's going to jump in and fight 1v3. Blaber looking to show up now, following in on Licorice's lead. He's able to steal away the Infernal Drake. He beats Meteos there in the smite fight. Still Licorice on the front line. He's going to be taken very, very low. He still keeps himself alive, and Cody is the first one to fall. Back into the fight, Nisqy's looking to take down Meteos as the rest of C9 will follow up on the stragglers of 100 Thieves. It is a 1-for-4, and Cloud9, they lose their jungler for the first time this game, but they will take the Drake, they will move to Soap Point, they will move on to the tier 2s yet again, and this is exactly what fans wanted to see from this team when they moved into playoffs. Absolutely merciless, absolutely unstoppable, and Ssumday once again gonna nearly be taken down here. Nisqy coming in from behind. He's got a little bit more damage to go if he wants to grab the kill. Vulcan's got the root. There's your Sleepy Trouble Bubble. Doesn't even have to get the sleep at the end. The damage is enough, and the tier 2 in the bottom lane falls. All 3 tier 2s gone, and Licorice even takes a tier 3 in the top side for good measure.
Now, for 100 Thieves, they have to be considering that this is not the regular split. This is a series where they can make adjustments. And already in this game, they're thinking about what adjustments they can make moving forward. First, we'll look at the replay, though, before we go into that. This is the Smite steal from Blaber, and look at this. He moves up, goes for the Fear onto Cody Sun, still gets the Smite over Meteos. On this replay, it's showing Meteos' Smite on cooldown, so I don't know if that is one of those replay bugs or if it was actually on cooldown and 100 Thieves were just trying to rush that dragon regardless. It is going to mean, though, that C9 do even have a fallback pattern of the Dragon Soul with the Infernal Dragon, in addition to basically owning Summoner's Rift at the moment. Ssumday can't even get this cannon minion, by the way, as he's trying to fend off 3 people, and he goes back and he's like, wait, there is some money over here. Maybe I get some minions. He goes to sleep, and even that is out of their reach.
Just not doable. Baron up in less than a minute here, 16-3. Cloud9 just shy of 10,000 gold ahead of their opponents at 26 minutes. This is a team that all too frequently finishes their opponents off around 30 minutes into the game. They don't like to allow things to drag out for too long. Blaber going into the top side now, looking for the 1v1 against Ssumday on the GP. Ulti is called down. Hey, that's not a fair 1v1, but fair doesn't really matter when you get the kill, does it? Nisqy shows up, secures that when he adds a couple more pages there to his book. And that is a 14-stack Medjai's Soul Stealer. That is Blaber with a Guardian Angel who's not afraid to dive in and start the plays. 100 Thieves are trying to move up, maybe get some sort of revenge here. Yeah, they're going to lose their base, but they probably would anyway, even if they didn't go for this. Nisqy with a flash away. That is his real flash. Blaber's still just hanging around. I don't know how many people from 100 Thieves try to hunt him down here. Meteos, he whips the whip. Blaber with a flash, Blaber with the block onto the CC coming out from the spell shield there, and now Meteos is overextended. The rest of Cloud9 is just in the enemy base. They're like, all right, Ryoma's the only guy here stopping us. Why would we care? Still pushing strong as 3. Licorice tanking up the turret. All of 100 Thieves just stayed in the top side for way too long. They seem to just be go nexting this one, and Cloud9 are happy to oblige. They're on to the Nexus itself. Ssumday will do nothing but pad their stats, it appears, as this team is way too tanky with way too much damage, and Cloud9 is way too damn good at League of Legends. They will wrap this one up in 28 minutes.
It's been said before, but Cloud9 in the North American LCS this split have looked like a team of complete Smurfs, 5 members strong, absolutely demolishing all competition, and it looks like playoffs not going to be a different story here starting out.
Only 3 members on Cloud9 died at all, and they all died only a single time. The best score on 100 Thieves was 2-4-1. That is how absolutely dominating that win from Cloud9 was here in the first game. And as you said, though, this is a series, right? This isn't just best of one. Oh, darn, we lost, our day's over. 100 Thieves are going to need to make some changes here. This is a team that we saw a much better second half of the split from compared to their first half of the split. I want to see if they can figure out exactly what needs to be changed here and try to find where to attack this Cloud9 armor, because right now it appears to have no weaknesses.
Exactly, and this is one of the things we talked about off of Reaper simply stating that they feel like they are a good match for 100 Thieves style. At the beginning of the game, we mentioned 100 Thieves have averaged a gold deficit 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and Cloud9 find that very easy to attack. Maybe there is a world where 100 Thieves can draft some much more aggressive lane matchups and try and fight in the early game, because if not, it seems like Cloud9 will follow the same game plan.
With that, we're going to step away, but when we return, the State Farm Analyst Desk will break down the Cloud9 win and look towards Game 2. Don't go anywhere.
Houston? Brightness is increasing. There it is. Oh, yeah, beautiful.
Cars like this don't come around often. The redesigned Type R, the most powerful Civic ever, from Honda.
Welcome back to the 2020 Spring Playoffs, where Cloud9 just took Game 1 over 100 Thieves in pretty dominant and expected fashion to some degree. But I want to work through it one piece at a time, because a couple things kind of jumped out at us. First and foremost, we got a Nocturne in the jungle for Blaber, and he executed.
It was pretty cool.
That was just... Yeah, I mean, when we were watching Pick and Ban, all of us were saying, man, I don't really like Nocturne jungle. I think Nocturne mid is way better if you're going to play it. Like, maybe their early game proactivity is going to be too low, but they're Cloud9, and they knew that they weren't going to get early jungle pressure from Nocturne, and it didn't matter. And it ended up working great.
He had a really cool route.
In fact,
he did a blue to Raptor to counter jungle Sejuani into mid to force the cleanse, and then back to his own side so that he had that pressure on mid lane, because now Syndra without cleanse against Zoe is just terrified of everything.
Yeah, cycled those Raptors a few times to build a nice experience and CS lead on his opponent, and then kind of snowball through. Interestingly enough, Jat, an extra stat to add on to this is that of all teams across all games this split, Blaber's jungle proximity in this game was the 4th lowest that we had. So really farming focused on this Nocturne.
And he hit level 6 at about 6 minutes and 15 seconds on one of his Raptor clears, and then immediately went down bottom to dive, which gave a double kill to Zven. So sure, they sacked some early jungle pressure because he was committing to some early counter jungling and just some early hard farming, but they immediately attacked the spot on the map that was supposed to be strong 400 Thieves, where when you draft the Kalista Taric, you're hoping you can get an early lead on that Kalista so you can start kind of face tanking later team fights, and they just never let any of that come online, and it was really just a masterful game from C9 from start to finish.
Yeah, Mark, let's talk about that bot lane and how 100 Thieves actually decided to take an aggressive pick like the Kalista in the bot lane, but it was Cloud9 who ended up playing through
that's the big thing that people always talk about with having strong laners, is it allows you to play things like Nocturne, and it allows you to have the lowest jungle proximity, and your solo laner in the top lane's getting a kill against the GP as an Ornn, and then your bot lane is surviving these ganks and actually winning out on the turnaround trades. You know, Meteos went down there and blew Vulcan's flash, but then Zven stepped up and hard punished them, chunking them low, and then got lane priority from that, and then they could set that dive up. And so Zven had an absolutely monstrous performance on the Aphelios, crushed the bot lane in what should have been a tough matchup. Kalista is probably the strongest laner that people are playing right now, and so just a monstrous performance by basically everyone out of C9, and exactly why everyone was looking at this as a 3-0 probably.
Because
so pretty by the numbers, Jack.
Yeah, and to expand on kind of what Mark was saying, I didn't like C9's draft in a vacuum. I think if I took two just average teams and put the draft side by side, I'd say 100 Thieves had a better draft because they have the Kalista Taric bottom lane, they have a more proactive early jungler, they have a Syndra versus Zoe, which can theoretically win that matchup, and they have a good, strong, weak side top laner in GP who can also ult down bottom. So like that whole composition, wow, that actually makes so much sense. They're just going to crash bottom lane, whereas you look at C9 and they don't necessarily have a matchup that thinks like it's going to win on its own, and then they have a slow jungler. So you're thinking, how are they going to pull this off? As Mark said, the answer is by just being C9.
So I do think their draft is really strong, though, because you took the Nautilus against Kalista, so at least in the team fight, you can lock her down. And Zoe Nocturne at least has a lot of power against someone like a Syndra, mobile in the mid lane. She ever overextends.
For sure.
I think they have a lot of tools.
Once you get to team fight phase, it's fine.
Yeah.
I think the larger point is just that whenever people look at drafts using like hindsight, they always highlight like the team that executed their part of the draft. And it's one of those things where low proximity, early farming focused junglers in this meta have largely not worked that well. Like Karthus and stuff struggle, especially in North America. And when you have such dominant solo laners who are winning matchups on their own, it frees up this kind of draft. And that doesn't make it a bad draft. It just means this is a good draft for a team that's going to naturally win lanes because you can let your jungler invest in himself a little bit more.
Right, it's an added benefit of being as good as Cloud9 is that they can reach and pull out some of the picks like this. But while we talk about, Jat, in a vacuum, that 100 Thieves composition looking really good, Now let's just put 100 Thieves, the name, back on top of that draft. And is it the kind of draft that you want to see out of 100 Thieves? And let's use the context of Game 2 looking forward, where they've actually selected blue side. Is that the kind of play? Do we want to see Kalista play through bot lane and Ssumday on a scaling champ?
I wouldn't hate it. I think they're going to be happier if they can get Ssumday on Aatrox again, which is his most played for the split, which does have a little bit more potential for solo kills rather than... You definitely don't want to see him getting solo killed, Ornn versus GP. I don't necessarily think that's a drafting problem. But looking at just the very top of the draft from this game 1, where we saw Xayah, Varus, and Senna all banned to set up a first pick Aphelios, that's what 100 Thieves will actually want to do, because Aphelios looked like Cody Sun's best champion towards the last half of the split. So if they can manipulate kind of the same thing C9 did, I think that would be a good start.
Totally agree, because I also think that the Aphelios is a stronger Cody Sun pick, but also I didn't like the Taric on Stunt. I didn't like what I saw out of him, and I think that the Kalista Taric combo, so much of it revolves around Taric's timings. This is not easy to execute. We saw in the Team Liquid games last week how hard it was to actually pull this off. You miss your timing with your ultimate, or the stun is misaligned because Kalista's hopping around, and what should have been an amazing team fight is suddenly you just used everything and now you're getting kited out until your death. So I just want to see him on something easier. Go on Lantern duty, pick the Nautilus, Tom Kench, start the game, get a win that way, then go back to the harder stuff.
Mark, any follow-up on 100 Thieves strategy going into game 2?
Kind of touching on what Jazz said about the Aatrox, not just that from a comfort level, but also from a proactivity level. I think, yes, you got solo killed by Licorice. I don't think that means that Licorice is going to keep dumpstering Ssumday over the course of this series. And so getting him in a more early game focused matchup, GP underneath this turret is kind of what you expect to see once you have the GP pick. So something that's able to actually push the other guy in like an Aatrox, and if you want to get even more aggressive, I'm totally fine with them pushing that top lane pool back, into Lucians, Fioras, and some of the more hard counter stuff, and make the game about Ssumday, because while Cody and Stunt have been doing a lot better in recent weeks, I do think Ssumday is the primary carry still, and GP can be that, but after seeing the mid and bot lane not be able to convert in leads, I want to see him have that opportunity.
Maybe the recipe for 100 Thieves. Jack, let's talk about what would make us happy to see out of Cloud9. Understanding they've already got a win under their belt, and we expect them to continue to look impressive across the BO5. Do we want more experimentation? Do you want to see continued new picks? Or do you want to see sub 30 minutes, 3-0, show us you can get it done?
I just want to see them continuing to win in 30 minutes. I think if they experiment too much, I'm not going to hate them for it. Like, I guess the holy grail would be continue to play picks that no one else has played in those roles this split and also win in 30 minutes. But that's a little unrealistic. I don't think they're going to have all those things. So I think it's completely fine to just continue to prove that they can play the meta stuff. It's fine to first pick set. It's fine to play fasting Senna. It's fine to play Aphelios. Just continue to win soundly, and I think that'll make C9 fans happy.
Well, it's going to chalk so far, but we have plenty of runway to go for both of our teams here to make moves in this best of 5. We're going to step away when we return. We've got Game 2 of Cloud9 versus 100 Thieves. We'll see you here for Champion Select after this.
So, Josh, you going for our Drive Safe and Safe discount?
Yep. Using the app, driving safe.
You want to go? You want to go, bro?
Hey, do not mess with my discount. Woo! You can save up to 30%.
Let's go!
Nice to meet you. Go get him, Tiger.
Sounds like you've got this.
Yeah, definitely.
Get a discount up to 30% with Drive Safe and Save from State Farm.